Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup, though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my OG, got me locked in on cup, though.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
A guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to PSGL for season 35 here. And boy, oh boy, do we have a great way to kick it off today. As you might notice, I'm not with the usual death link, but instead I'm here, and we've got a certain someone who's decided to very kindly hop in as a reserve, and I'm here with Epic Freestyle at 8. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, mate. How are you? That's the main thing.
I'm good. I'm really looking forward to this. Yeah, no, it's a little bit of a change from F6, but fingers crossed, all the racing's still going to be just as good. Now, we do have quite an extensive calendar, let's say, for this season, so I'll just pull that one up for you guys. So, as you can see, we're here at Japan, round 1. And then it's going to Qatar, Hungary, and then we have a little break week before we hop over to Vegas, Austria, Monza, Singapore, and then we have a lovely Christmas off to come back at the start of the new year with Spain, Miami, Britain, and Bahrain. Now, I've seen some calendars in my time sim racing, but my word, this one's got potential.
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's some really exciting races, of course, in there. I mean, one of the ones that sticks out for me as something that's going to be exciting is the finale at Bahrain and Monza. Those are the two that I'm excited about to come. You know, they're going to be definitely action-packed. But I mean, we've also got like Japan and Qatar and Hungary. That's just a brilliant start to the season.
It's a brilliant start, and then we have that little break just so we can think about everything which has really happened in those first 3 weeks, and then we're slapped back in with the Slipstream Fests of Vegas, Austria, and Monza. I mean, yeah. What else could we want in a league of a little bit of Slipstream battles here and there? But of course, we wouldn't be able to go racing if it wasn't for the lovely drivers who have signed up and actually got themselves placed here. So I feel like we should give them a little bit of credit here. And these are the driver placements for Formula 3. I believe we don't have any reserves in here, which is
not for today.
Beautiful start, and I personally can't wait to watch some of these drivers in action. Now we do have I mean, it looks a little bit intimidating there. You know, loads of names, and I feel like it would be really, really beneficial if we could have more paired up, so we can actually see who's sharing the grid box, or should I say pit stop box.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good lineups there. I mean, you know, we start off with Alfa Romeo, Wilson Hall, and Ivan Santmaria. I know Ivan Santmaria. I've seen him before, in PSGL as well. So he's a good driver. I think that's a really strong lineup. I think there's so many that are really strong. I mean, Gerhard Sprogus, he's won a PSGL championship before. I mean, we've got Franek Mariek, Jack Humphreys, Tumas Laminin. I'm just seeing so many names that I know.
Exactly. I mean, we got Schumacher, Villacampa, Richie as well. I mean, I expect Ewan Lenore as well. Do a bit of commentating on the side now, being involved with a couple of his races, and I'll tell you something right now. If you don't always have an eye open on Ewan, he'll make some moves you do not expect. But I'm really excited for this. It looks like we've got a cracking driver lineup, and I for one, I just want to get started already. But we do have a couple of minutes, and the lobby is filling up as we speak. But I cannot get over the fact of how excited I am for the start of this season. It's looking good, and honestly, around a track like Suzuka as well, I can't think of necessarily a better place to kick it off. I mean,
Me neither. It's just such a brilliant track. It's so beautiful. Not only the scenery, but I mean, it's just like, I mean, the Suzuka essence. That's like, in my opinion, that is what makes Suzuka Suzuka. But I mean, there's Spoon, another two corners that are quite difficult. This track is so perfectly connected and made that I think it does pose a challenge, not even if you're racing, even if you're just trying to drive it. It's just got such a challenge, like the hairpin and the final chicane. I mean, this track is just absolutely crazy, just adrenaline filled.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks where you get slightly offline, you're sacrificing almost an entire sector, and it's really high risk, high reward, and it'll be a lot to do with these drivers being able to keep momentum going and build upon what they're technically capable of doing. As I noticed, we've got some people in the chat. I see Big C himself. Thank you, Connor, for this opportunity again. And I see a certain Nathan Richards, who may or may not have been having a little discussion with us earlier about microwave bacon. Bit of an odd one. But yeah, how else do we walk PSGL? We sing songs about microwave bacon. That's how you got to do it sometimes. But yes, looking forwards, I mean, turn one around here is always something. But before we can even think about turn one of the starlights, we got to think about qualifying. And coming off of recent performances that some of these drivers have put in, inside and outside of PSGL, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the likes of Alexander Dimas are going to do, because I've been watching him for a little while now, and I know he can be very quick qualified.
Yes, I mean, me too. I've seen him. I mean, I've seen a lot of these drivers that are on this F3 grid, and they're all very exciting. I mean, Andres Lopez, another driver that I just love to watch. Just pretty much everybody, pretty much like I know about half the grid,
Yeah,
including
exactly.
Joe. And so I think this will help a bit for us. But I mean, it just means that we know how good these drivers are.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these drivers on the grid know how good their competitors are as well. And that's really something that these drivers have built throughout years and seasons here racing. Obviously season 35 now, we're getting on a little bit here at PSGL. But before then it was season 34, season 33, season 32. These drivers are well aware of who they're racing against, and everyone races everyone slightly differently, and they'll adjust to it. So these drivers have really been shown the experience and necessarily how they're going to try and handle each other. And I feel like that could be the reason why some drivers wanted other drivers as their teammates for the allocations, just so they know, end of the day, it's not necessarily going to mount up too much on them. But I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, do we talk about Rihard? The absolute storm of form he was on last season.
I mean, we could, but I think we'd be here for a bit too long.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he is so fast. I've never seen a driver be so fast, but also almost has sort of perfected form. You know, it's like it doesn't really make mistakes. You know, there's just nothing.
It's. I want to compare it to Max Verstappen, but even then I feel like it's a little bit of an injustice, right? Because we see Max have a couple moments, but I can't recall a single time where I've heard someone mention, like, hey, Rihard, he's had a bit of a moment, he had a wobble and it really knocked his confidence. And I feel like that's something that these drivers all have in abundance, is that confidence within themselves, and the certain acknowledgement of their own capabilities to really be able to try and push to the limits, almost on such a regular scale that it doesn't become this thing for them. They're so used to being able to race at this level that it's as a whole really impressive. And I can confirm, I've got one eye on the lobby at the minute, and the drivers are readying up, and does anything really ever get better than a little Suzuka qualifying? Because for me, it's absolutely fantastic, especially in these modern cars.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that makes Suzuka even better is the fact that these cars are so difficult for braking on like the rear. We're just gonna see so much drifting through corners. Potentially, we've seen that become a bit of a meta this year with drifting. But I mean, a bit of Tokyo Drift style for F1. But I mean, I still think this track is going to prove to be a problem to even some of the more experienced drivers, because it just has so many different types of corners that it could just throw a few people off.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for it, to be honest. I feel like it's definitely going to be one of those... I don't necessarily want to say one of those tracks where it's going to be really challenging for the drivers, but I definitely feel like it could be perhaps one of those moments where if they end up getting in that bad run of form, end up having a couple outlaps, and if they're just not feeling it in the car, it could potentially get to a couple problems. Zotar, thank you for the message in chat saying microphone's a bit low. Slightly adjusted it now, so hopefully it's a little bit louder so you guys can hear me just about a little bit better. But trust me, when the action gets going, I'll be looking this way, talk directly into the microphone, and I'll be nice and loud, and everyone's going to hear me and wish you couldn't. But I'm looking forward to it. And we've not even come across the fact that Suzuka's kind of got its own little microclimate in Japan, doesn't it? Because when it rains, it pours, and if it starts raining, boy oh boy, are we going to be in for an entertaining start to this season.
But as we come into qualifying, what is it going to be?
I don't know, the screen's black, I don't want to look. Okay.
It's dry!
It does look dry.
But it might be raining for the race, don't forget that.
Exactly. So I'll tell you what, so you don't have to put up with PSGL logo and my face, let's get you over to the gameplay. So we can have a lovely little look here. Now, let's get a track map up as well so everyone can see back at home. Now, we do have the full grid. And one of the problems I've noticed when we do short qualifying format is the traffic. Now, if you're going to necessarily be one of those drivers who's going to cause one or two issues with the traffic, you can really look out, because we've got a very, very tough stewing team here at PSGL, where they won't necessarily allow these sort of acts to continue. And I feel like it would definitely be best if you jumped off the racing line. But we got Ewan here, the Shizu driver, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I've mentioned it before, but I feel like he's definitely got a lot of potential in the bag, so it'll be very interesting to see what he's going to be able to pull out the hat this week, and especially considering it's the start of his first campaign. Well, it's the start of a new campaign here at PSGL, I should say, for season 35, and it's looking good, and I can't wait to get underway, Epic. I'm just excited. I just want them all to hurry up on their outlaps.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen Ewan drive, but I mean, I'm just gonna go off of your word that he's good. Now, one thing, Suzuka, we spoke about getting out of the way, and getting in the way of people and things like that. The one difficulty with Suzuka is with a lot of corners, like especially in the first sector, you can't really get off of the line. You can't really get off the racing line until probably the end of sector 1.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a strain. It's a bit of a tough track. Also, like through corners like Spoon and down the back straight, there is space, but it's quite thin. Every bit of track on here, every bit of space you have is quite thin. And so, I mean, we've barely ever seen 3 cars go wide here, and I don't think you can. And so, I think that is going to be something that does make it a bit more difficult for drivers, especially when you don't have much space. Especially around a track that is so twisty and, like you said, with a full 20 driver grid on it.
Yeah, it's tough, but we do love a full grid here at PSGL, and we do love it when it's every single driver who got into it. But one of the drivers who's going to be looking to definitely get into it right now is Ewan, as he's going to be starting his lap. Shall we ride on board with him for this lap?
Yeah, we definitely should.
There we go. We can see Ewan approaching, getting up to the max revs in 8th gear, going down into the first turn, which is a double apex right-hander. Still counts as one turn in my eyes. Everyone can fight me on that before we swing it to the left and to the right, going through the S's curves, and this is where the ground effects of the car really stick this car back to the circuit. These cars are nice, wide, heavy machines, and they can be very, very difficult to drive. But as you can see, rising up through the Dunlop curve with a beautiful elevation change before we end up getting all the way into Degner 1 and Degner 2. these cars, they're something else. They have so much grip on them. They've got such good potential to stick to this track, and it's absolutely fantastic. But as you mentioned, the braking points are going to be the problems with these cars, and it'll be a problem that these drivers are going to have to tackle throughout the course of a qualifying. Come around turn 12, always wondered what that little chicane there was used for, and I wish we could have a little go on it one day. But looks like we're not going to be able to get it done today as we approach Spoon here with another double apexed corner before we end up running out nice and wide. You left plenty of space there. Definitely doesn't want to get any track limits for this first one. So let's really try and get an idea of what sort of setup he's running by the way he flicks into 130R, and he's very smooth on the steering wheel. Not aggressive at all, which could indicate he's got a slightly lower downforce setup. But we can see that drifting, as you mentioned already, Epic coming through, going into the Casio triangle, and he keeps nice and close to the right-hand side of the wall to set a 26.099 for the first lap. Now, that is a very respectable lap time, but I'm sure we're going to see some of these times start falling down as we see Sven come across the line there and already beat it by almost a tenth.
That was quite a good lap from both Ewan and Sven. You know, they're already going faster than I expected them to be for just their first laps. As we see Alexander Dimas, he dips into the 1 minute 25s. That might be, I think, generally as a lap time, that might be a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is, isn't it? This qualifying session is going to slowly ramp up as the track gets more rubbered in, and we're going to be able to really try and see what some of these guys are really capable of. But I just want to give a special mention to this man, Rihards, who's definitely been on an absolute tear of form, as we mentioned. He's been kind of an animal, and he already pops himself into P3 in the Alpine. And I feel like this young man can go so far here at PSGL, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to be able to do. But first, he has to get this race in the pocket, and he's really going to try and mount a challenge. But we can see the likes of his teammate there, Lillian, as well, also getting P4, pipping him by, what is that? 900ths of a second? That's,
yeah.
You know, these margins, they're close.
It definitely is. I mean, this is the one thing we love about F3, though, is that it is so close. I mean, I said about how Alexander Dimas' time might be a bit difficult to beat just in general. I might have said that a bit too early, because everybody's gotten within half a tenth of it. Very early, actually. 4 drivers within half a tenth. I mean, this is what we want to see. This is literally the pinnacle of close qualifying and close racing. There's a lot of traffic, actually. I've just seen that in Spoon. Cars having to slide in between the middle.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it, and back in the F6, it almost felt like we mentioned it every week. So it feels like we're going to mention it this week. But the PSGL is the pinnacle of sim racing when it comes to league racing, especially on the F1 game. And this is just another example. F3, we've got drivers all up and down the grid. And we've only got 6 tenths separating the top 15, and I don't believe Mayo was even able to set a really representable lap time for their true pace as well. This is just what makes PSGL so special. It is what makes it absolutely brilliant for us to be able to come in and commentate on these fantastic drivers over the course of a season. But boy, oh boy, I'm really looking forward to it, as Jack Humphries also looks to be enjoying it, as he's just on the start of his lap in this Williams. And boy, oh boy. Just look at the way it's gripping. That's absolutely insane. Something just about the aeronautical engineering of these cars is brilliant. As he had
a sliding there.
Little slide there. Heart in mouth moment for Jack Humphries. That'll cost him a couple of tenths, but I think he's just more than happy to keep it on the track at the minute. And yeah, I'm sure these tyres will be absolutely screaming in agony by the time he ends up getting up to the hairpin here. Yeah,
remember also, you can get about 3 actual qualifying laps in. You know, even including in laps and, out laps, you can actually still get 3 qualifying laps. And of course, Jack Humphries has gone out later, which probably means this restricts him. So maybe he could get 3, but he'll have to hurry quite a bit back to the pits. But so far, good lap from Jack Humphries. That, Williams not wanting to stick down, but he's forcing it to. Definitely something that, every driver wants to have. But coming into the chicane, this is a place where I always find that it's actually quite interesting as the chicane, because you can see whether the car is balanced, whether they're running sort of lower downforce or higher downforce, as Jack Humphries does go slowest. But as I was saying, it's one of those corners where you just know whether they're running low or high because they'll either have a later turn in or they'll go over the curb and just slide. If they're on higher downforce, if they're on lower downforce, they'll just almost miss the sort of the apex of the corner almost entirely. And so, that is something that I think is quite important. That it's actually quite good to see an indicator of how much downforce they're running.
Yeah, of course. Unlike other sims, it can be very difficult to try and understand what the wing angles are at and what the ride height's at. But fortunately, we do have a couple indicators here. As you can see the rubber getting chucked up there by Laminian's Red Bull. As we can see him sliding into that Casio triangle once again. Sliding around the slow corners around here definitely seems to be the sort of meta play that these drivers are going for. As he pops himself up into P16. And normally you'd be quite disappointed with P16, but it's 0.34 seconds off. That's definitely nothing to shout about, but it's just goes to show how close and how ridiculous these drivers are. But I do want to mention very quickly as well, we do have the front four, that being Alexander Dimas, Kamil, Statruka, Marawiak, and Lillian. Right, okay, not even trying that surname. Apologies if I butchered it. Please feel free to correct me. Be more than happy to try and take some language courses to improve on my my knowledge of the languages here. But it does look like the Ferrari drivers they seem to be trying to form a little bit of a train here. Potentially to use a slipstream.
And I've actually just seen that Labella has just gotten a 5-place grid penalty for blocking, I believe. If I remember it correctly, we might have a lobby restart. But, I mean, that probably won't actually affect qualifying places. It won't actually affect it for the moment. But I'm actually watching Alexander Dimas right now. He's getting ready on a lap, and I want to see what he actually does on his lap, because he did something that he found just a bit more time that the others just couldn't seem to find.
Yeah, and it's by the smallest of margins as well. This could be almost half a tenth out the way, as I believe it does look so close, and it's going to be the smallest of margins. It'll be taking the extra millimeters on the curb. It'll be having the ride height that 1 or 2 millimeters higher, which will allow you to just ride the curb slightly more comfortably without the car being put off balance, and the lateral loads being scraped through the tires on the predominantly right hand side of the car here. It's one of the key factors here, but we see Dimas there improving by 0.03 of a second through that first sector. It looks good.
That's enough. That's good. I mean, we've seen how close it is, but I said, I'm used to drivers possibly improving by a tenth, but here, for Alexander Dimas, gaining those even just 100th could still get him pole position, which is going to be something that's sort of in the back of Alexander Dimas's mind, possibly going towards more of the front as he finishes the lap. But so far, this lap is looking consistent, fast, and he's not making a single mistake. He's driving like he's driving for his life at the moment.
Absolutely, he's pushing to the limits as well. We saw that there with the track limits. I thought he was going to be flagged for it, but apparently not. And he's still going all the way up to the paint. He's chucking the car in to the right, to the left, swinging it down to the right here. And he'll be taking the closest run to the wall because that's the shortest way to the line. And he'll be able to pop in with a 0.15 tenth improvement. And I believe
that's a very good lap.
Hopping here to Franek as well, who looks to be improving and gets back up nice and close. Ewan Lenore is slightly further in the track. He'll be slowly approaching. But we got Camille here in the other Ferrari coming out the Casio triangle, looking to improve on their lap slightly more as well. Let's have a look, see where we're going to be able to put it. And that's joint P1, I believe. That's the level we're at here. Identical times.
I'm lost. I'm shocked by that. The only reason, by the way, if you're wondering, the only reason why Alexander Dimas is still first is because he completed his lap first. Just to clear it up to anybody who is wondering why, because I know we'll probably be asked in chat very shortly.
Oh, never mind. Lillian, where have you pulled that Alpine from, my friend? What on earth is that? Beautiful lap there, being able to find that 0.02 in order to snatch the provisional pole, but we've still got quite a bit of time left in this session, so I'm going to be slightly nervous here.
Derbacourt out of nowhere. Derbacourt absolutely out of nowhere there. What a lap.
Do just want to point out as well, Ewan had to abandon his lap. He dived back into the pits. He's not going to be completing the second lap, so it'll be all down to the last run for some of these drivers here. But it's so close. I can't stress it enough. This is the level PSGL has. This is the sort of racing they want to bring. And I'm sure throughout the rest of this day, when we were getting the other streams online as well, for the F2, F4, I mean, the racing's going to be just as close in those as well. It's absolutely ridiculous. Rich is pointing out as well, 0.093 between the top 6. That is something else.
It really is. I mean, a couple of drivers. I just want to point out a couple of drivers who have strangely been off of the pace slightly. One is Ivan Sanz-Maria down in 15th, and Tuomas Lamminen in 19th.
Yeah,
strange. Not used to seeing them there.
I feel like, I mean, we're gonna say this. We're not used to seeing them there, but it's only 0.3 off of pole. Like, there's very, very little. I mean, that's what. 10, 11, 12 meters in a braking zone in order to make up that time.
There's 0.5 off of pole.
Nothing. Yeah, Thomas Lamminen is, but we did see he ended up getting a slight slip through that S's section on his first lap. So this one should probably be quite a generous improvement to try and catch him back up to maybe the likes of his teammate Sven, who's comfortably sitting 2 tenths off of the pole time and still find himself P10. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's great. It's like outside of the top 15, there's like big gaps, but then inside of the sort of top 15, they're just split by like 4 thousandths between Jane and Scotty Pippen. I mean, absolutely mental. But probably for one of the first times ever, I'm actually seeing all drivers in the pits.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, it's not lasting for long. Jack Humphries is coming out. We've also got an AlphaTauri there. But I don't think it'll be Dimas. I think it'll be Labella. I feel like Dimas is going to wait just that little bit longer just to try and get the best track possible. Because that's all this is now. It's going to be down to track evolution and getting those extra smallest like scraps of rubber onto that racing line, which will be able to get you the difference between P6 and pole. And that to me is absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, you see, here is something that's tricky with at the end of qualifying, because if you go too early, you're going to get caught up in traffic. But if you go too late, you'll have also a lot of traffic. So you're kind of stuck on, you know, for drivers who like abandon their laps and stuff, you might have traffic as well. So it's very much like you have to get it specifically right, or you might find yourself having a lot of traffic when you're actually on your lap. But I would say for now, Jack Humphries might just be okay. He might just be okay.
I feel like it'll depend up to this point of the circuit around turn 12 and entering Spoon. That might be where he ends up catching a little bit of a traffic, or maybe even through 130R. But the driver's done very well so far to be able to move off the racing line and not really disturb any of the other drivers on their laps. So hopefully that'll continue for this last run here. They've only got roughly about 2 minutes. I believe it was 1:49 there. Yeah. Left of this session, so this will be the final lap for the drivers. So it's going to be about finding that little window of space on track that they're all going to be able to complete a lap, and Jack Humphries seems to be slowly backing it up a little bit, just cooling down his tyres before he's able to really give this lap a good crack to try and close that deficit, currently sitting 9 tenths behind in P20 at the minute.
Yeah, so I'm just going to watch Jack Humphries on his lap because he's last. He needs a big improvement. I know he made a couple of mistakes on his lap. But, I mean, for Jack Humphries, he's got very high standards of driving, and we know that because he's in F3 here today. And another good penalty for Oscar Villacampa. I think we might have a lobby restart.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But Jack Humphries at the moment, very good sector 1, very consistent, just trying to not spin it, as it is very easy to spin it from me practicing quite a lot. 4 tenths up, good so far, but he's going to need a bit more. I would say for him to be safe into sort of top 15 would be 0.0 is probably what he's going to need at 1 minute 26.0. And so that's going to be, it's quite tough to do, especially that he's 7 tenths down, you know, already off of that. But he's looking very good on this lap so far. Into Spoon. Can he throw it in? Will he throw it in? No, he doesn't throw it in. He goes with smooth steering corrections. He's going with more sort of Lewis Hamilton type of driving there. Smooth in and out and throughout the entire corner. And so at the end, half a second up. This is good. This will, at the moment, put him up only into 16th. So he will be hoping to maybe find a bit more through the triangle. And now into the last and final bit, up to the line. It is 14th place for Jack Humphreys.
It's not bad as well, and I'll tell you something, that AlphaTauri is DMAS, and he's going to come across the line here with a slight improvement, and it's just enough to grab provisional pole. Now the real question has to be, who's that Haas going behind? That's Tony Rucci. Right, okay. Battle for pole is still on. I can see Lillian just about making their way through the spoon curve on the mini-map, but really, I'm looking at these Ferraris here, you know. They're looking pretty good. They're looking pretty quick. Got a bit of telemetry data up. Half a tenth up through that second sector for Camille. As they're going to come across the line here to be able to snatch the provisional pole. But I don't think this one's done just yet at all, Epic. I feel like there's still a lot of these drivers who have a little bit to give here. We've got Rihards as well. Improving as well. We've got Lillian.
And, just misses out. Now it's Frantic. Mariuk. Is he going to do something here?
A 10th up as well. It's looking potential, but look at how close everything is so far. I feel like all eyes are going to be on Rihards here.
Yeah,
Sven pops himself up.
Yeah,
Sven put himself there into P9 as well. Rihard, this will be his opportunity to try and walk into F3 and snatch pole position, and he's only able to improve by half a tenth, and that gets him up into P7. My word. I know we talk about close qualifying sessions every now and then, and a lot of the time they're separated by, you know, maybe 1 or 2 attempts in the top 10. But this is absolutely ridiculous. We've got almost the entire grid covered as Camille, for the Ferrari outfit, takes pole position by 0.006 seconds to the likes of Alexander Dimas. And then it's the other Ferrari Frantic rounding out the top 3. Andreas Lopez P4, Lillian P5, Valentino P6, Rihards P7, Oscar Villacamper in P8, Timo in P9, Sven in P10, Matthew Alder P11, Ewan Lenore in P12, Tony Roche in 13, Bogdan Moldovan in 14, Ivan Santa Maria, slightly off the pace there, all the way in P15. Only 2.2. You can't even. You love to see it. Everyone's so close, but it does feel absolute like a kick in the gut seeing some of these names down here. We've got Tumas as well, P16, Jane P17, Jack Humphreys P18, Milan in P19, and Wilson Hall rounding out the top 20. Yet again, just about half a second off the pace. Now, that is ridiculous, but I can tell you something, which may or may not have contributed towards that poor lap time. And I feel like it might have a little something to do from our beautiful sponsors here at PSGL. I'm not sure about you, Epic, but I feel like if I had that GTR Vegas setup, I would be quite quick. Maybe not as quick as the guys we're seeing here today, but I feel like I'll definitely be a lot quicker than I would be sitting in my regular office chair for sure.
Same. I mean, if I had that, I think I'd just be driving in general.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant. I love that setup. I want it. I want it now.
Yeah, it looks so good. I mean, I'm sure it'd be able to get you a couple tips here and there. And at the end of the day, that's all you need apparently to get from P15 all the way up into P1 for pole here at F3. And it's been such a journey. And the only thing I'm crossing my fingers for this lobby restart is that they've kept the same weather settings and everyone's going to abide by the gentleman's agreement that all the setups are going to have to be used. It is an official rule as well, but it'll be very, very tough to manage it for the outwards officials here at PSGL.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure what the weather was going to be for a race either. I've not seen.
I believe it was going to be dry. We might see arguments in Discord.
A little friendly discussion.
A little friendly discussion will be nice, but yeah. So essentially, we're just waiting now.
As well. The lobby's already back up, and all the drivers practically joining instantly. They want to get this cracking. They're excited, almost as excited as we are here in the commentary group, and almost as excited as hopefully all you wonderful viewers are at home. watching with us, because boy oh boy, are we going to be in for an absolute crack. 27 laps around Suzuka. With the gaps this marginalised, I feel like we're going to be in for a treat. Undercuts are going to be extremely powerful. That's something we have learnt about this game. It's something we saw last season as well here at PSGL. Undercuts seem to be the way to go, but I do believe there could be a little bit of potential to play a couple of games with the DRS just to make sure the undercut isn't as powerful. So I'm going to propose a question to you here, Epic.
Yeah.
Would you prefer to keep it going and maybe not have the greatest tyres for maybe an extra 2-3 laps to keep within the DRS and follow a car on a harder compounded tyre? Or would you prefer to try and get the undercut and struggle with it towards the end of a race?
I think that's difficult.
It is. That's why I've asked it you. It's difficult because I don't know what I would do.
In a way, overtaking, it depends. It always depends on who you're overtaking, who you're defending from. Because there's some drivers, like we know, like Richard Sprogers, he's got that natural race pace, which will not help you if you're defending. Neither will it help if you're overtaking.
Exactly. I mean, we could see the likes of Ewan as well. He's known for an absolute audacious overtake, putting him around the outside at Spoon. One of my favourite moves he's ever done. It's one of my favourite moves of all time, to be completely honest with you. But, you know, when the cars like that come up to the back of you, it really gets you second-guessing every single little movement you do on the track. And it really, really just puts so much more mental strain on the drivers, having to manage so much stuff. Brake bias, differential throughout the course of a lap, managing their tyre wear, their brakes, and then also having to deal with insurmountable pressure, knowing that only a tenth separates the top 10 drivers here. It's ridiculous. I don't understand how they have the mental capacity to manage all of it, let alone think about strategy on the go and have conversations with engineers throughout the course of the race. It blows my mind.
I mean, I think one of the things, like, when it comes down to other drivers, I think one of the things I think a lot of these drivers do is they just block out the other drivers. They just, you know, mentally they block them out. They know that they're there, and they just look every so often. But if they know that they can defend, then they'll do that. And so I guess in some ways, sometimes some drivers block out some things, you know, some intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Others focus on it and are faster, obviously, or, you know, defend better. So it all really comes down to the driver, and honestly, the biggest thing is the situation. You know, if you're, you know, going to win, you're going to be overthinking it a bit. But if when it's for like P11 or like even P10, they're like, I want to score this point, but it is only a point.
I'll tell you what.
So I don't want to risk it all.
I think we've got a big name in chat here at the minute. Dylan Warren himself has come in saying, "Going long, always clear. Everyone will undercut, I bet." So, according to Dylan, we're going to see a lot of this undercut action here today. And to be quite honest, I can't blame him around Suzuka. It'll be one of the tracks I would want to try and pit early and get a little tyre advantage for the early going. But when it comes to the end of a race, the tyres are going to be screaming. They're going to be practically dead.
Yeah, this is the thing. It all depends on your situation. If you're leading and you're like 35 seconds ahead, and you know you can stop and go on fresh tyres, and you might drop behind one or two drivers, you're fine. But
that's not going to happen here at all, is it?
No,
because everyone's so close.
No, and that's what I mean. This is the thing. It all depends on what happens. If it's raining, you don't have to stop, and so it all comes down to the situation that you're within, and not sort of trying to go, well, I know if it's dry, I'm going to do this, and if it's wet, I'm going to do this. But you don't make like 50 strategies of if it's dry, you know, because you'll just overthink it, and then you'll be thinking about too much.
Yeah, it's the little tiny things which just place so much stress on the mind as well. But I can confirm, we've got 18 drivers in the lobby at the minute. We're just waiting for 2 more to join. So fingers crossed we'll be able to get that kicking off underway. But I do have a little fact for you about Suzuka. If you'd be interested to know, and if people in chat would be interested to know as well. Okay, well, just outside of the circuit of Suzuka, there's what's known or called the tyre graveyard, where they collect and dispose of tyres, and it's been there since the 1980s, I believe, where they'll end up just taking the tyres off of the car and just lobbing them there because they can't afford to take them back home. And ever since then, different categories of racing have all chucked the tyres in this tyre graveyard, and it's quite an experience to go and have a look. I'd suggest if anyone has the opportunity to go to Suzuka, try and find it. Try and send us a picture. We got our ats on screen, so give us a little shout out.
Don't watch the Grand Prix. No one's going there for the race. They want to see the tyres.
Tyre graveyard is where it's at.
Yeah.
It's Halloween.
Yeah,
it's spooky. It's sim
made
racing
attraction.
spooky. Exactly. Melvin's asking about Yano today. Yano's actually decided to fly away. He grew some wings and decided to start flapping. He's gone. He's sailing in the ocean. Heard he's also building a boat as well. So unfortunately he's not here at F3 today. But you never know. Maybe he'll fly back one day. But no, all seriousness, no. I'm sure he's preparing for F1 esports, and he's getting all built into that system and trying to familiarise himself and get everything going. But
I mean, if people start making comments about like, I know what there, like, if there's any like, fan questions, and that's one of the things, are you building a boat? Have you grown wings? if they start asking that, I'll just at you, and I'll just tell you it was him.
No idea where that assumption would have came from. No chance. But do believe we're getting drivers in the lobby at the minute, and we're starting to get a couple of the drivers ready up now. Do I dare ask for a prediction when it's this close?
Oh, go on. Come on. I gotta hit yours first. You
Right.
opened it.
So, I'll be honest, there's two levels of me, right? I've got my head and my heart. My heart is telling me Ferrari 1-2. That's just because I'm a Tifosi member. I'm a massive simp for a big red car. Can't help beat it. My head is telling me Alexander Dimas has got something up his sleeve, and I don't feel like it's going to be too beneficial to my heart and my heart pain. So, potentially.
I mean, for me, deep in my heart is Red Bull. that's general, but I'm gonna be honest. I think it's either Richards. That's what I'm sort of thinking. He can fight through the field. He's quick. Or I think Dimas. I think it's either one of those. I want in my heart. I want Richards to win, but thinking about it, just purely out of good position, it would just be easier for Dimas to win.
Yep, got a prediction there from a lovely commentator himself, who's currently not in the F2 Combox, and he's decided to join our chat at the minute, saying Franic for the win. Forza Ferrari.
I didn't mean to laugh like that.
Forza Ferrari, I believe it's happening.
Don't explode.
He's doing it.
Car, don't explode.
I will explode. If it's a Ferrari 1-2, my room is just going to be red, and it'll be an explosion of Ferrari from inside of me. It'll be brilliant.
You know what the Ferrari drivers will be hoping? That their car doesn't break down. They're just hoping.
Come on. I'll deal with this enough in F6. I thought I was escaping it for a week. You're doing Alex's job. Alex isn't even here, and I'm getting bullied for being a Ferrari fan. But yeah, no. But also, there's so many names here as well, which I can see could have really good races, and all they need is perhaps a safety car, or maybe one or two slight issues to go on. I mean, Ivan Santamaria, I believe if you whack him at the front five of the field, he'd be able to pull in some work and really keep the pack behind him and get some defensive moves going. It's such a tough one, but we are looking here, and I do believe we've got all the drivers in the lobby now. Now, I
we do.
cannot wait.
I'm sorry about the laugh. I am actually looking in the in our Discord server, of course. It is down in the description, just to put it out there to all the viewers.
Absolutely.
If you want to come and drive,
come
or
join. Give it a go.
Job, which either one, just don't take my job, please. But no, I've just seen quite a few comments at the moment in the F3 general chat, which does make me laugh slightly.
Of a safer stream.
Yeah, they are. I mean, Ewan is telling Sven to hurry up and choose his car because he's got a wife and kid.
Although it does seem like all these drivers are, robots that are built-in machines, every single driver on this grid has a life and have decided to take a little bit of time out to come partake in a race. And it really goes to show the dedication to sim racing as a whole. And here at PSGL, we couldn't be more grateful for their time. But I completely agree with Dylan Moran in the chat, saying Ferrari disrespect isn't needed. Damn right. For respect.
Well, it felt right. It felt good.
Okay, right. We're having a word after, buddy.
It felt good in my heart. That's my prediction. It felt good.
It's fine.
Nah, honestly, I mean, if you just look at all the drivers, I think easily any of the top 8 could win, if I'm being honest. Any small... Thing is, this is the thing, because everybody's so close, one lockup could lose you 4 or 5 places.
Yeah.
Because they're so close.
I don't even think it would have to be a lockup. I even just think running wide going down into turn 1 would just be enough, just be able to push you out just that little bit too much. And then I believe it all starts to get unraveled. Wouldn't be great. But can confirm, we're loading.
We are. It is dry. I can tell you, it's dry.
So, yeah, everyone's favourite commentator is Richie if it's not doing it right. But do feel like we need to stop giving Richie a little bit of credit and also decide to turn the camera around a little bit and give a little bit of credit to the drivers and the marshals who look a little bit too much like Michael Myers for my liking. I know it's Halloween, but did they really have to put the mask on? Not a fan. Not a fan of the character. Not a fan of the marshal models, I'll say that.
They look like they're in a rush slightly, but they're kind of stuck there.
Yeah, just a little bit. But, of course, this is the time where they'll all be applying the same steps they used in the qualifying session, adjusting their tyre strategies, and really trying to garner a bit of an idea of what really the other drivers are going to be doing. I'm sure they'll be hopping on the tyre directory, just having a look, seeing what the cars around them are doing. And, yeah, believe it looks like we're going to be getting underway here with the 5 red lights. No formation lap. And it's underway, and here we go. Camille seems to get a little bit of wheel spin off the start there. Alexander Dimas is already down that inside, looking to try and make it too wide into the first turn. Gets the inside. Job done. Camille has ended up losing out there. But fortunately, Franek wasn't able to take the opportunity for Camille's sake. And we're going to see all the drivers file through in 1 by 1. We got a little bit of 2 by 2 action there towards the back as well. But it's not where you want to go 2 by 2 because you'll just lose time to the cars in front. And this is really, really the challenging part. And we've got such a mix of tyres on the grid. We've got the softs and the hards being used. And that might be one of the reasons why Camille had a little bit of a wheel spin off the line there. But it looks like everyone's got through the first sector okay. And that's all we can really hope for at the minute.
Yeah, at the moment, this is quite good. Oh, and we're seeing a move down the inside with Timur Zelenkovic. Oh, a bit of drive getting hit there. And still side by side between Zelenkovic and Valentino Labella. Still going side by side, I believe. They're still going for it into Spoon. The Mercedes does get in front of the AlphaTauri in the end. Not used to saying that.
Oh.
But remember, a couple of drivers on the hard tyres, like you said, as there is side by side up ahead between the 2 Ferraris. And it was Franek Mariak who made his way up into second. And there goes. Oh, a move. That was a move into 130R by Lillian.
Yeah,
Oh my god, that's just mad. That was a ballsy move, I will say that.
Yeah, and also fair play to Camille for realising we're on the harder compounded tyre, so they just had to leave the door open and not turn across because realistically that was never on for position. But Andres Lopez is also trying to get his nose back down the inside there, and now he seems to be having to go on the defensive. But the AlphaTauri almost had it on the inside, and we can really see these soft tyres paying dividends for the drivers who chose them. Looks like they've got so much more grip, and that is to be expected. Up to, I believe it's 0.9 of a second lap time delta difference between the soft and the hard compounds of tyre. So we'll be looking at Camille, Andres Lopez, Oscar Villacampa to be slowly dropping down the order just a little bit, as we see Timo having a little bit of a rear end jiggle coming out of the second deck curve. And it looks like we're going to fall back now to a little pile of normality here for the time being. But Camille is already under pressure from Rehards, who's directly behind on that soft compound of tyre.
And Miller Meyer trying to make a move further back on the man of Ivan Santwin, not having a good start to his race. He's just lost the place. Miller Meyer, though. Meyer having an absolute brilliant race so far, up 4 places. Having a very nice race, but I just wanted to point out something, and that is nobody's using the mediums. And I'm quite surprised by that nobody is using the medium tyres. Yeah, that's possibly it could be tire wear. It might be overheating. That's another thing we know. But yeah, it's a bit of a strange one to see. As we can see, the other Alpine of Rejas Brogus, he's going on Camille on the inside into turn 1, and he makes it work very nicely. As Camille just knows he just doesn't have the pace on those harder compound tires.
Tell you what, did you notice what Lillian did there just to try and help Rehards out just a little bit? Moved off the racing line to give Rehards that slight bit of slipstream to help Rehards get the pass done. Now that's teamwork, and when we've got 2 Alpines and 2 Ferraris in the top 5, a little bit of teamwork surely can't hurt, despite it being mostly towards the Drivers' Championship in this series.
Yeah, Valentino Labella has just made a move on Zelenkovic now, getting back position he wanted to get. I think we're starting to see a bit of a few gaps open up here. We can see the top 5 running away slightly from the rest of the grid at the moment. I've just realised Wilson Hall and Tumas Lamminen have just pitted.
Yep, we do have Mr. Warren himself saying a medium is the best race tyre. So they'll use them slightly further into the race. They don't want to waste them right at the start, which could be a very good shout. But at the same time, how far are those mediums going to be able to go before hitting the tyre degradation wall? I mean, realistically, maybe not too far into the race. I presume Wilson and Lamminen are going to have to make another stop, but that all depends on how well they're going to be able to manage the tyre. But something I just want to point out here as well, Franek getting right up close to the back there, but decides to stay behind, deliberately doesn't go for a move. Perhaps just harvesting a little bit more ERS before trying to make an attack on Dimas. And I've noticed we've got quite a few Franek fans in the chat here, which are definitely cheering on for Franek. And we also have 1 or 2 Lilium fans as well. So hopefully we'll be able to see a great battle between these two in the coming laps, because so far they look almost unbeatable. And everyone is so close together, it feels like it's really going to start boiling over and hopefully not explode, but start simmering, let's say.
Yeah, start boiling over. I mean, I think it already has slightly. But, yeah, so one thing I have to say for second place, Franek Mawiak, is he's got a bit of a tough one here, because he's got to make the choice. Does he try and focus on his race and, you know, not take the subtitle as race leader and possibly have to let Alexander Dimas go because of dirty air and extra tyre wear? Or does he try to overtake Dimas, get that higher tyre wear, and then struggle later on? Potentially, does he try to go safe and defend from Lillian? I don't know, but we might see Franek go for a move here. No, he doesn't into the chicane. He's just waiting for DRS, I would say.
Definitely had a look on the inside of the Casso triangle there. I don't think it was a committed look, but it's certainly a look there. As we see Lillian practically on full battery, by the way, choosing not to deploy anything, just getting a little bit of fresh air to cool the front tyres down before the turn 1, turn 2. Might be the best way to really go about it strategy-wise, but Franek did have to deploy a little extra battery to catch back up to Dimas, because at one point Dimas was out of DRS range, but they've ended up catching him back up before the DRS opened, so it'll all be gearbox to front wing from now until the first round of pit stops, I believe, for these soft tyre compound runners.
Mawiak has just had quite a bad Sector 1, dropping off by about 0.3 of a second off of Alexander Dimas, allowed Lillian to catch back up. One thing I will say that will definitely affect each driver's race is how they take the racing line. Because I see with like Franek Mawiak, he tries to go more sort of average speed through the corner. He tries to sort of take a bit more of a tighter line compared to Dimas, who seems to focus more on the exit. Just from looking at Mawiak's onboard view. And so that might allow Mawiak to come back slightly, because Dimas might be using up his rear tyres a bit more. So I think these drivers are all thinking about not so much the end, but where in maybe the next 5 or 10 laps are they going to be gaining? As we see Mawiak's gaining and gaining and gaining. Is he going to go to the outside? No, he doesn't. And he is going to wait behind till the straight. He is very close. Oh, he lost the rear a bit through there. Definitely going a bit too late on the brakes. Now he's got to catch back up to Dimas.
I wouldn't even say catch back up. If I was Franek, I'd be using my rear view mirror right now, just having a little look, just make sure that Alpine doesn't get any funny ideas to try and make a pass. Decides to deploy the battery and gets a move done down the inside. Exactly as you said, Epic. Good prediction.
Thanks. I mean, that is something that Mawiak has to think about now, is he's now got to think in the reverse way that I was saying, is that he's now got to think about, does he want to defend this? Does he want to possibly lose time or waste tyres? Or even, and also ERS, trying to defend this lead? Or are they going to play a bit of a game of ping pong, of just going back and forth with positions? It is a bit risky, though, I would say, playing the ping pong game, because they've got another, you know, if it was just 2-3 drivers, that would be fine. But the fact that there's like 7-8 drivers in this,
Yeah.
You could drop back very quickly, even though the pit straight at Suzuka is very short.
Yeah, it is very, very tough. I mean, realistically as well, it's not just that we're going to have to worry about, because these drivers know we're going to have to pit earlier than Camille on the hard tyres. So it'll all be about just managing and just trying to find that perfect amount of pace where they're able to slowly start pulling away from Camille, but also kind of carry Camille with them, so Valentino doesn't get the overtake and become another threat to their personal race strategy. But I will mention race strategy really quickly here. We do have Franek with a pronunciation of Moraviak? Tell me if I'm correct there, Liam. Currently in the lead, but their teammate is only P5 on different strategies, while the Alpines are both on the soft compounded tyre and right next to each other on track, which could lead to a couple problems in the pit box, slightly further down the way.
I mean, this is the whole thing. Some drivers are hoping for something, other drivers are hoping for something else, and this is where the conflict of sort of position, sort of race position, and sort of the sort of being able to know that you'll stay in your position, you know, that reliability of, you know, being able to rely on that you will be able to stay in your position when you do pit, it's going to be something that might make the drivers think, you know, do I want the position now and risk it, or do I want to wait and I know that I'll come back into this position or possibly one place behind, but I might gain something more through tyre wear.
Yeah, it's a tough one, as we see Richie still proving those soft tyres have a bit of life, making the jump from P10 to P9 on Oscar Villacampa. I mean, realistically though, how much longer are these soft tyres going to last? I can only see them really lasting maybe three laps longer.
It's said that it's about 10 to 12 laps. And I mean, this could be another reason why people didn't use the mediums, is because the mediums are said to only last to about 15 laps. And so that could be another reason why people didn't use the medium tyres, because they don't really last that much longer. But we're going to see here, coming onto the straight, we see the snake of cars come round the last corner. Let's see, it looks like that Alpine of Lillian is wanting to make a move as Moik makes a big move to the right, trying to stop Alexander Dimas or Lillian making their way through into the lead. So Moik has made his choice for the moment that he wants to defend the position. And that move is a bit of a telling sign that he wants to hold on to this now.
Yeah,
and that's not good.
Moraviak, currently in the lead, currently had quite a generous amount of battery to play with, but realistically, you're going to have to start thinking that Franek's going to have to slowly start deploying it just a little bit more during each of these laps, because we know Dimas, Lillian and Rihards are definitely recharging their batteries, comfortably following him a slipstream and using the DRS to their full benefit, trying to find as much as possible. Just to try and maybe not even necessarily just charge the DRS, but taking a little easier on tyres, just knowing that they can comfortably follow one another without having to put up a battle to try and get just a little bit of breathing space to the rest of the pack. Because as you mentioned, all it takes is one lockup, running a slightly bit wide, touching a bit of gravel, and they're losing 4, 5, 6 positions here.
As you can see, the Alpines, they're getting a bit tasty. This is feeling like real life F1 here with the Alpines fighting. Hopefully there won't be a collision like there's been a couple of times this year. But, I mean, this is now very much the worry now be not only when will they pit, but also do they want to pit on time, as we see Alexander Dimas go back for the lead. Very nice, and a very nice and smooth move back into the lead. I don't think Moik was really going to fight that one there. He just knew that Alexander Dimas had the straight line speed with the DRS. But as I was saying, this is the thing. The drivers, of course, they don't have to pit when it's suggested. They can go longer or shorter. And so this is really going to come down to almost like mind games slightly, you know, from other drivers. This is where now, for Dimas, whoever's in the lead, they're going to have to play the slight mind game of, do I want to be the sort of puppet master, or do I want to kind of sit in the middle and be sort of the puppet, but also sort of the puppet master at the same time? Do I want to be both? And
I'll tell you something. Lillian was very, very close to the back of I keep forgetting the pronunciation. Franek's car there. Got very, very close indeed, but decided not to try for a move before entering Spoon Curve, which is probably the wise decision. Definitely. Very late on the brakes there, but it really comes into the conversation of how well do the Alpine drivers know each other? Are they going to be nice to one another? Are
And
they
there
going
goes
to be friendly?
Rehards.
Rehards making a move through there. Perhaps this could be Lillian diving off into the pits then.
Oh, he is pushing Frantic Moiak through and there goes Rehards Focus. He's pulling the trigger. He's being the first one to go in. I'm gonna see if you want to hold on to the lead. I'm gonna watch where Rehards is actually gonna come out because this could be important.
Absolutely. I feel like Rehards is going to get quite a bit of clean air here, considering the 2 pit so early on during the race. But now this really opens the door for Lillian here to be able to get the race going and really try and challenge whatever strategy Alexander Dimas and Moiak. I will get it right. Moraviak. Right. Fingers crossed. That'll stick in my head for the rest of the stream. But Moraviak and DMS, they're all equal to playing fields now. There won't be any, safety car which is going to come out and potentially ruin one of the Alpine's races. They decided to pull the trigger nice and early. And again, Lillian just keeping that Alpine to the inside and does look to try and get the move done there before Spoon, but backs out, realising going too wide there is going to cost them both too much time, and DMS would be able to scurry away into the lead, but they still have lost a 10th out there.
Oh, lagging from...
A little bit of lag there from Frantic there.
He's down to 4th.
It's unfortunate. Thankfully, it's not on my side. I don't believe both of us saw it, so it can't be my fault. Just say Frantic at this point, absolutely will try. But yes, Sprockets has gone on the hard, so he'll be looking to try and make it to the end of the race. Dimas and Lillian come into the pits as well. Frantic as well there, and Camille is left to try and lead this pack away while still using the hard compounded tyre, having an absolutely fantastic stint keeping pace with the soft tyres.
I do feel though DRS still did help quite a bit, but remember, a lot of these guys who are on the soft have now got to go to the hard tyres. Although, for Camille, it might actually work the other way around, because they've got to go... Oh! I'm sorry, I've seen that too.
Yeah.
I saw that too, Rehards. Miles in front, actually. No, he isn't. I thought he was. I was looking at the wrong timing. But he is he's got an ahead.
Yeah.
Of the race leader.
Yeah, as I said, the undercut is very, very strong here, but Dimas probably predicted Rehards to come out ahead of him, so decided to opt for the medium compounded tyre, which I'm sure will give him quite a bit of the extra grip going through the first couple sectors, but it'll take a little bit of time for those tyres just to get heated up. Once they're heated up, I'm sure he'll be full on attack, trying to fight back for the provisional race lead, as Camille is doing a fantastic job leading the pack at the minute on those hard compounded tyres, but surely we're going to see Valentino, Timo and Tony Richer all come into the pits here to get off those soft compounded tyres and probably put a fresh boot of hard tyres on.
As you were saying about the mediums, the one thing is that Alexander Dimas can't push them because then they'll be 2-1 at the end of the race. And so now we're going to be talking about a whole different game now. It's the tyre wear game.
Yeah,
this is the new one.
It's also a little bit of this DRS game we alluded to slightly before the race, where Valentino is taking these soft tyres that little bit further. So just so Valentino can stay within Camille's DRS, and hopefully that'll be able to keep the pace up just enough that when they do come into the pits, they'll be on fresher tyres towards the end of a race, and it'll be absolutely fine.
At the moment, you know the driver who's really lost out from all of this is actually, it is Moiak. He's lost out because he's gone behind Lillian and Rehards. You know, at the moment, that would put him 4th, but behind also probably his teammate Camille. And so he's lost out quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, I mean, realistically as well, if they were able just to last these couple extra laps, as Mr. Longue has just put in chat, the mediums will make it fine to the end of the race. And yeah, I can see that 15, 16 laps on the mediums doesn't seem too bad when they're doing 11 or 12 laps on the soft tyres. So maybe it comes into a little bit of doubt. Rehards wanted that undercut so badly, but Dimas has already got past, and Dimas is going to be looking to try and run away. Lillian as well and Frantic all on the hard compounded tyre. Are they going to be towards the vulnerable side towards the end of this race, given the medium tyres pace?
I think this is just where it comes down to driving style. You know, are you like a sort of Max Verstappen? Are you aggressive with the way that you drive, or are you more calm, like for instance Lewis Hamilton or Lando Norris, more calm with the car? And this is something that I think is going to be the main thing that might see the mediums go further and, last till the end of the race, but still be as fast as the hards at the end of the race. Or
Yeah.
they might quite a bit. And so for Dimas, he has to potentially, and this might be a wild idea, but he might have to change the way that his sort of driving style while he's on the mediums of it. Because, like Longe said in chat, you might be able to. They can easily get to the end, but you've got to treat them right, though. You can't be pushing all out for the whole time.
Yeah, it's really one of the tyre churners here, isn't it? So there's such a variety of slow, technical, cambered, fast-paced corners throughout this entire circuit. But realistically, the only two places the tyres really get a little break is on the run to 130R before they get shredded on the right-hand side. And down that pit straight before they get absolutely shredded on the left-hand side thanks to the first turn. So it'll be very interesting. But Valentino, still out there on the soft compounded tyre in P2. Just keeping a little eye on that. Still within the DRS as well, but I'm sure Valentino's going to decide to pull the trigger and come in for the mediums this lap. And really try and see how well those medium tyres are going to be holding up and the little pace difference they'll be able to provide compared to the likes of Dimas, Sprogis, Lillian, despite the undercut probably getting them just a little few positions. But yeah, I can probably see Valentino coming out around Tony Richet, which we do have an update in chat as well, that he deals with 7% damage at the minute.
That's gonna be difficult. Yeah, I'm just looking around at all of the grid at the moment and looking at who just seems like they've got it on their tires. One man who doesn't look like he's got it on his tires at the moment is Sven. He doesn't look very happy. I know he's just pit, but he didn't look very happy on his last set of tires. He's quite far off of Ivan Santa Maria, and so Sven, he qualified quite well today. He qualified 10th, but he's 18th. And I know there's a couple of drivers still to pit, but he has been jumped by quite a few people.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, it's been unfortunate for both TF10 drivers in the Red Bulls 18 and P20. Laminen ended up making the 2 stops right at the start of the race. Wouldn't be able to tell you the reason for it. That's something we're going to have to take a little refresher and perhaps find out for you guys for next week. But at the minute, it's looking very, very good for Dimas. Dimas is able to keep the pace, keep him at half a second window to Rihards and Lillian. As we're going to see Camille coming off the hard compounded tyre. And it wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing a couple more of the drivers coming off that hard compounded tyre to try and chuck on a set of mediums to run it to the end, which will be definitely the quicker tyre. But realistically, was it worth going on that hard tyre if they could have just been able to run it out on the softs?
I mean, I'm looking back on this pit straight, looking at Alexander Dimas, and I'm seeing Frank Mawiak miles behind.
Yeah, I mean,
I was just shocked by that view.
Yeah, out of DRS as well. And it's very, very unfortunate, isn't it? You get out of DRS and then everything sort of just seems to crumble apart, or especially around here. DRS is such a key help in order to be able to keep within the battles and the pack, but when you fall out of it, it starts putting you a little bit more vulnerable, and that's something we can see with Franek and Ewan Lenore as well, being able to catch back up to the back of Franek. And I feel like if the Alpines didn't have the DRS in front of them, they too would be towards Franek's pace and slowly falling back into the clutches of Ewan Lenore, Timur, and Tony Richet.
I feel like this is just, it's almost like it's a bit like karma, isn't it? You qualify very well, you qualify third, but your race goes terribly, and like you said, I feel bad for him. He's really had all of the bad luck that a driver can have, and it's not even like he's made mistakes today. He's been fast, he's had the pace, as we see our last 2 drivers come into
Oh! Matthew Aldo there just getting that little clip on the front wing. That'll be definitely detrimental to their potential race here. But ideally going to be able to get it changed. It does look like they've got a spare front wing there as well. As Dimas comes back through, and it looks like the Alpines have decided to make their move. Both of them trying to put it around the outside. That's very, very brave of Lillian trying to keep it on the outside there. But Rehards was able to get through, and Rehards will now be looking potentially to try and back Dimas back up into Lillian, as Lillian did help him slightly earlier in the race. And potentially from that, they'd be able to work together and try and maybe build a little bit of a barrier, swap a little bit of ERS usage, and try and get a little gap going to Alexander Dimas.
I said before this race, and it is on stream, that Richard Spragus is one of the fastest drivers I've seen, and it's proving here today because he was 7th.
Yeah,
He's now in the lead.
We've already got PRR11 in chat saying Rehards won. So
I mean, prediction.
A big prediction, especially considering we've still got 11 whole laps of racing to go, and the difference between these drivers is so small that anything can happen. We've got a potential for safety cars as well, slightly further, with a little bit more infighting behind Franek, as the DRS train certainly has seemed to have left the station for these front three, as they're going to be trying to scamper away. I'll tell you what, something that I noticed a little earlier on. I'll tell you what, we'll ride on board here with Lillian. Just on the right-hand side, they've got the Alpine Esports app there now, so maybe that's adding a couple extra brake horsepower, but they're going to need a couple more than that if they want to try and keep Alexander Dimas back. Lillian on the inside there, and Dimas is just able to use those medium tyres and just swipe it around the outside there. Absolutely brilliant work, but the more these guys fight, the closer Franek's going to get in on this action. And with Franek comes the likes of Timo, Ewan, and Tony Richet, who are all on that medium compounded tyre. It could be looking very rough, and it could be looking like if some of these drivers are going to be potentially saving a bit of their battery just in that little DRS train. If these three keep fighting, no one's not saying someone's going to try and battery dump a couple laps from the end and scare other drivers into dumping the same amount. It's going to turn into a chess game. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been all race. I think this has been a chess game since qualifying. I think since we started today. It's always a chess game. That's the thing. It's always a chess game. And it's all strategy. You know, as much as it is driving skills and how fast you are, it's also strategy, because without it, you wouldn't get anywhere. And so, honestly, I think the one thing that a couple of these drivers have on their side, for instance, like Richards and like Lillian, is that...
Safety car.
What's happened?
Laminen, he spun, hit the wall, lost his front wing, so we do have a safety car out. Dimas, Lillian choosing to pit. Richards back in the field up a little bit. He didn't even necessarily back the field up. He just backed himself up. Didn't even affect Franek there. Absolutely brilliant.
He's going in.
Brilliant strategic decision. I'll tell you what, if you're Oscar Villacampa now, surely you would just stay out. Absolutely. Look at him shoot up the lead there. Oscar Villacampa on 2-lap-old medium tyres. That'll be a tall task to try and keep everyone behind, but this safety car has just threw an absolute spanner into the strategy works. And you do have to feel for Sven down there in P18 on the set of medium tyres, but they'll be picking up the field now. But all of a sudden, that little front pack, the three cars which were carrying on, fighting one another very aggressively, just trying to get that little bit of a gap. All of a sudden, it doesn't look too promising. I'll tell you, a big winner there as well is Timo. Didn't have to wait for his teammate. Unlike Richards, he's found himself back up into P4.
And you know what else? You know the biggest loser of this? I'm sorry to whoever is the biggest loser of this safety car, and that is Camille. You know, 10th. You know, he's lost out massively. Also, Tony Richet as well.
Yes.
Both of them losing out massively. I mean, Richet's lost about 10 places, or just less than that. And Camille has lost. He was P4. What was it, P5, P6?
Yes.
Now he's P10. And so I'd say I'm gonna make a big call here. Camille, and I think Camille is out of the chance for the race win.
Yeah, I can completely see that. Someone else who I'm going to say with a very heavy heart may have potentially been put out of the race win is Franek, who's fitted a set of medium tyres. When all these cars behind, they're running the softs. Yes, you'll get the benefit towards the end of this stint, towards the dying embers of this race. But they're just going to have to really try and push so hard on these tyres once the safety car gets back underway in order to keep pace with the soft tyre runners and really try and just be within that opportunity window that they'll be able to jump up and keep stuff going. I mean...
That hurt my soul slightly when you said that Franek might be out of the win. that hurt my soul a little bit. But I mean, let's be honest. Franick, yeah, on the mediums, but he could be pulled along with Richards here.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Gets pulled
so-
along, uses a little bit of ERS usage as well. I can't see any reason towards the end of the race, maybe 1 or 2 laps harvesting, being able to redeploy the harvested energy they would have got from the stint of just sitting in the DRS train and really trying to mount a challenge. So I reckon a podium could still be on for Franick, but it's looking slightly unlikely that we're going to be able to really catch up to the pace of Thibaut, Lillian, Alexander.
Also, I mean, we've got to point out Mr. Strategy, strategy man of the day, Oscar Villacampa. This man, whether it was brilliant timing or brilliant strategy, he's gone from being, what was it, like P8, P9, P10, sort of further back, and now he's in the lead. I mean, has he done what Richards did earlier on, but without having to overtake anybody? Because that's essentially what he's done.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a little rough there, especially if we're going to start taking into consideration, those medium tyres, they're looking, a little bit old, just a smidge. But it might not look like much to those of you who aren't necessarily too familiar with the game, but 2 or 3 extra laps could really be a detriment towards the pace of this race, especially considering it's a harder compound of tyre as well. But it depends really how long the safety car is going to stay out for. Because if a soft tyre runners are going to be able to just keep and coast maybe for 1 extra lap, I'm sure they wouldn't mind that. Just so the likes of Franick behind at Oscar are just going to feel slightly more uneasy that those soft tyres are definitely going to make it to the end, still with an abundance of pace left in them. It'll be interesting. I said before it felt more like chess. Now this feels like the 4D chess with interdimensional time travel.
And a safety car.
And an Aston Martin safety car, which does look absolutely stunning, I may add.
Yeah. I mean, one thing here for Oscar is that he can play 2. He could play 2 types of, sort of, as we've put it today, chess. He could play sort of 2 types here. He could push all the way and try to stay in the lead, or he could play the safe and defensive game and try to hold up everybody else, cause problems further back.
But then, thankfully, we're not race drivers, so we don't have to worry about this. But if I was in Oscar's boots and one car got past, I wouldn't want to try and hold up the rest of the cars behind, because the more I'll battle with them, the further out of the range of DRS I could potentially get from maybe Dimas, who might be able to get the jump, or perhaps Lillian, who might go for an absolute audacious move into turn 1. I mean, I don't know. There's a reason I'm not a race driver. There's a reason I'm not good at sim racing games. It's one of those. These drivers are a hell of a lot quicker than me, and I'm sure their engineering teams are a hell of a lot better than me towards the strategy as well. As Matthew Adler decides to come into the pits now as well to set on a fresh set of soft tyres. Bold, very bold, but
Yeah.
very little to lose, so worth an opportunity, I would say. Also gives him this first sector to really be able to try and fire up those tyres, while some of these other drivers might be struggling a little bit just to get the temperature into the carcass of the tyre. And I'm sure the surface is nice and warm, but he'll be getting the inside really set up with this safety car, not necessarily being able to use the brakes as much as they would like, given the fact it is a GT3. It's a bit of a spec'd-out GT3 car as a safety car, but could still be a little bit rough trying to get the brakes warmed up and really starting to generate the tyre heat from the inside rather than just using the surface temperature.
I do feel, I just remembered something. For Oscar, his mediums are going to warm up slower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is going to be a very big risk because he's got everybody behind him on, like, soft. Except Franick. That's going to be something that's difficult. Is that he is going to have that problem of that his tyres won't have as much grip, he can't brake as late, but to put that in perspective though, the others like Dimas will be struggling. For anybody on the soft will be struggling for overheating in their tyres.
I wouldn't even necessarily say that. I would say if the soft tyre runners are able to keep it in the operating window, they'll be stuck behind Oscar unless they're able to get a move done right at the start. So then it will get to a point where, if I'm Dimas, I might be looking more behind me than in front of me, as I believe Lillian might have just DC'd there as well. It literally could not be worse timing for Lillian.
On for a podium, possible win here. And I hate it. Oh, and there's collisions. There's collisions as people got held up a bit. And away we go. After the safety car. Good getaway for Oscar as we see Lillian.
The AI's pit, Lillian. That is very, very unfortunate. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the end of it for the Alpines. As Rihard tends to really shine in these moments and really try and bring the best of his racecraft out. As Tony Richet retires from the session as well. I believe that's retired in the pit box as well.
And it's a safety car. Oh no!
Is it full safety car or a VSC? I think it might be a VSC.
I think it might be. I don't know.
Yeah, it's VSC. Yeah. Okay.
I wish it'd just tell us. I wish it'd just tell us.
I wish it would. We got Longue saying the medium's warm slow. We're already warm from a brake tracking being behind the safety car the whole time. Potentially. But realistically, how much brake tracking do you reckon they could get away with? Especially when it comes down to that back main straight. Maybe a little bit, but
not enough.
Maybe. I mean, there's a reason Longue's the esport driver. I'm sure he knows better. Oh no. Someone's just mentioned a VSC bug. I hope not. I very much hope not, because this has been an absolutely fantastic start to the calendar. And if the race ends up being perma VSC, we might be crying ourselves to sleep here.
Just have a race under VSC.
I hope not. I don't want to say it looks like it, but
I'm hoping not. This has been so exciting. And there we go. They're going.
Oh, okay. Brilliant. Absolutely lovely. And Dimas got an absolutely fantastic restart there. He'll be looking to make the move going down into turn 1. Maybe even before the braking zone. Just showing that soft compounded tyre and that little bit of ERS usage as well is doing absolute wonders. Oscar Villacampa's trying to push him to the outside, but he's got to leave the racing room there, and he does very well to do that, as Alexander Dimas is able to get around the outside and get the better exit going into turn 3 there. And now it comes to more of a battle for survival for Oscar. On these 6-lap medium tyres, surrounded by soft tyre runners, is he going to be able to keep within the DRS window and really try and deploy the battery? Just to be able to get enough speed going down the straights that he's not put under pressure for the likes of 130R and back to turn 1. But he's already getting put under pressure by the likes of Timo and Rihards, who are already directly behind. We've got some retirements in the pits. But Timo isn't waiting for 130R. He makes an absolutely audacious move to the inside there with a little wheel banging, a little rub in his race, and gets himself up into P2. And now he's going to have to try and catch up that 6 temps in order to get the DRS before potentially coming under threat to Oscar himself again. Or maybe even Rihards, who's slightly further back, who will get that double slipstream effect.
And there we go. Rihards, a mistake from Oscar Villacampa has allowed Rihards Spragus back into P3 and onto the podium once again. I mean, we were saying earlier that Rihards was, at the start of this race, we were saying he was probably out of the chance of getting on the podium because the grid was so close. But look at him now. He's going for P2. Here he goes on Timur Zelenkovic on the inside. He doesn't want to. He's waiting for DRS. He's playing it smart.
Absolutely, but realistically, if you're Timur, you're gonna have to start deploying that battery sooner or later if you want a chance at this race win. Because Alexander Dimas has checked out. He's just already made it 2 seconds up the road. He does not mind whatsoever. He's looking to try and get out of whatever battles they're trying to have behind and run his own race and be able to secure this win for the start of Season 35 here at PSGL. But Rihards and Timur will certainly have something to say about it. If they're not fighting for the race win, they're fighting hard for P2, and you can already see it. Look at how much they're pushing. The car's absolutely being strained to the limit there, and Oscar Villacampa doing a very fine job on that medium compound, just being able to keep it within. But surely Franek is going to be maybe looking for an opportunity slightly further into this stint. Mind you, there's only 4 laps to go. We had a lot under the safety car. It's going to be a very, very close one between Franek and Oscar Villacampa. Only 2-lap-old difference. 2-lap-old difference? Very unfortunate. But yeah, 2-lap-older tyres. Is it going to be enough to make this difference? As Rihards is doing everything. He's doing a Fernando Alonso tactic. Let's just fill your mirrors up so you'll panic and make a mistake. Fortunately for Timo, though, Timo doesn't seem very, very fazed by it at all. He's more than happy to stay in P2, not move off the racing line, and just run his race.
Thomas Laumann retires from the session, and it is a safety car. It's another one. It's a late safety car to today's race. This is dramatic.
I'll tell you what, we have a couple opportunistic drivers who have dived it into the pits, but surely we'll get maybe 1, maybe 2 laps worth of racing at a push here. Going on to the soft tyres again. Is that a great idea? I don't know. I don't know about that strategy,
Not
Chief.
really.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that's difficult. Yeah,
I'll tell
I
you
have
what.
no idea.
Let's pose a question to chat. Safety car comes out now. Are you going to pit him for a fresh set of softs, or do you just keep the position you're currently in and try and rejuvenate a bit of life back into your tyres? Because, personally, I reckon I would have stayed out. But then again, there's a reason I'm not racing in F3.
I mean, you're dissing yourself there slightly.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. These guys are far more talented than I could ever be in a sim rig. But I'll tell you someone who will be absolutely punching himself, and that'll be Alexander Dimas. He pulled out that 2.2 second lead. He deployed a little bit of battery. We can see the brake dragging on the telemetry data here. That Mr. Longue was saying slightly earlier, just making sure those tyres are going to keep up to temp. Absolutely brilliant. Fascinating insight there into how these drivers are going to be able to really manage it. But realistically, you've got 2 safety cars. You're going to have to do a bit of fuel burning too, which is the reason why the revs are getting absolutely strung out to the maximum here. Not to mention the brake jacking does recharge for ERS as well. So potentially all these drivers are going to be able to get the restart done with full ERS with 2 laps to go. What can go wrong?
Quite a lot, but from my experience, quite a lot can go wrong. I drove here at Japan. I spun it on the last corner. I was on for a podium. So, yeah, a lot can go wrong. We should be getting going this lap or next lap, as there must be at least 3, I believe, at least 2 whole laps of racing with this game, or we're going to be stuck behind the safety car for the rest of today.
No. I'd
Hopefully
prefer not to. I'd prefer not to.
Me too, but
Just let them go past the safety car. We'll just disregard penalties. It's fine. Just get them racing.
Yeah.
But
yeah, disqualification. Yeah.
we'll just
Who
take
heard
the-
of disqualification?
Okay, Lillian's decided to whack it back in the pits. Off the 11-lap-old soft
I'd say.
tyres.
Possibly retiring. Possibly.
Maybe. I
think-
hope not, because Lillian's had an absolutely fantastic race. Going back onto that soft compounded tyre they were on before the game disconnected her and chucked her in the pit lane. Very, very unfortunate. It's rough. It is rough when the game does have these few moments and makes some of the most questionable decisions I've ever seen in a racing game.
But now, we said about a couple of drivers having bad races. That was Miller and Mayer, Ivan Sandmer and Sven Schumacher, all inside of the top 10. I mean, this race, there's no description for it.
No, I mean, you can't write a script like this. It's going down to the last wire for the starting race of the championship, may I add. I couldn't have asked for a better start here, and I don't think you could either, Epic, could you? Because this has been absolutely fantastic, and it looks like we're still going to get a good couple laps of racing, as I believe that's Lillian joining up to the back of the pack there, so I can't see any reason why we wouldn't get racing after this lap, giving us 2 full racing laps.
I mean,
I'm just saying, I'm not opposed to 2 full racing laps with everyone on full ERS. I'm sure they'll be able to get some.
no DRS actually.
Yeah, exactly. It all come down to the deployment management and being able to battery match, similar to what they do in LMP cars and endurance racing. Just being able to find that perfect sweet spot where they're going to be able to juggle and just match the car in front until it comes to an overtake opportunity, and that's when they'll deploy that little bit extra. But then the car behind can also try and match and deploy for defense. It'll be very, very tough, but we do know how strong the slipstream is, and we do know how strong ERS can be as well. But
I was about to say about how strong these F1 cars are, but that safety car pulled away with some speed.
Yeah.
That might be the real race on today, against the safety car. But you can see all the cars.
Look at this. Dimas back in the field. This gives me Valtteri Bottas vibes from Magello, and it looks like he's gone right there at the Casio Triangle, so it'll all be down to how good of an exit Timo can get, and it looks like he's got a pretty decent one.
Yeah, that's a good exit. I think he'll be able to hold it down on straight. Slipstream is not that powerful. It is powerful, but it's not that powerful on the straight. You know, when it's about 6/10 of a gap, they're not going to close in. But you can see Zelenkovic, he's just turned on his tires, and they're flying. You can see Alexander Dimas all over the place slightly through this first sector, just trying to find some grip. But he's absolutely fighting with his tires compared to Zelenkovic, who's just nicely tiptoeing his way through the first sector. But so far, a very good start for Alexander Dimas.
Yeah, we've got basically a second separating the top three at the minute. But I believe any one of these drivers could spring up on the opportunity to use a little bit of ERS. I agree with Ben Price in chat. This is going to be absolute carnage. And I cannot wait to watch these drivers battle it out for the race win here for round 1 in season 35 here at PSGL. And I'll tell you something as well. Camille making a couple moves going up the
Here
grid as
comes
well.
Zelenkovic for the lead to get past Alexander Dimas. Still side by side through Spoon. Here they go, coming around out of Spoon. And there we go. Zelenkovic pushed off track slightly. I think that was just side by side action there. But here comes Zelenkovic again. He's using just the slipstream. He's waiting in behind, but he has got Richard Sprogers to look towards. And now coming into the chicane. Now down onto the brakes. We can see Alexander Dimas, Zelenkovic, and Sprogers all going side by side, all going for it at the moment. Look at how close this is. They're split by just 3/10 between the top 3. And here they go. I think we're going to go 3 wide. Here we go.
Absolutely are.
Oh,
Richard.
Oh,
He's trying it. He's trying it in the second part. He's going to get a slightly worse exit. He'll be forced to the outside here. But Richard is still holding it in. And he gets the move done around the outside at turn 3. That is absolutely ridiculous. Richard, please take the super glue off your tyres, mate. That is absolutely stupid. What an overtake. Timo fighting his way past Dimas as well. And now Dimas is going to be absolutely on a charge. Absolutely trying to push that car all the way through these Daytona curves. Trying to carry as much speed as possible to try and maybe get an overtake down towards the hairpin so he can really try and manage and put the pressure on Sprogis going down into 130R in the Casio triangle. Stays behind for the hairpin. He's looking for a better exit here going into Spoon. Trying to perhaps maybe put Timo a little bit off balance. But Richard seems to be doing a beautiful job here. Got the 7/10 gap, and it looks like Richard might be able to run away with it. We had people in the chat saying he could potentially be robbed. Doesn't look like the win's going to be robbed off him anytime soon. But Dimas must feel a little bit disheartened. Had such a great restart after that first safety car. But not everything is lost. There's still a P2 up for grabs. Still a little bit of weaving. Timo went to the inside, moved to the outside, moved back to the inside. I'm sure the steward's going to have a little look at that. The ERS lights are flashing for both of these drivers. Alexander Dimas going around the outside at Casio triangle. Oh, can he do it? Oh, it's all gone down. He's coming down to the run. Timo forced him a little bit wide, little wheel banging. But Dimas comes home in P2. Timo P3 and all the drivers, look at that. All of them squabbling across the line there. Oh my words. Richard Sprogis, congratulations. You were on an absolute tear of form last season. And what a way to start this season. Absolutely brilliant job and deserved driver of the day in my opinion. Epic. What on earth happened in that last sector, mate?
I don't know. I feel bad. I feel bad for a few people who lost out heavily. I mean, Richards. This man was sitting there for like 10 laps. You know, just fine. And then all of a sudden, he comes out of nowhere and takes the lead. Around the all the way on the inside, 3 wide. And then where usually the outside would be more powerful, Sprogis just used that inside. He used the grip, he used his ERS, and he just pushed Zelenkovic out.
I mean, we know great racing and we know great moves, but my word, surely that's going to have to be put aside for a rainy day here at PSGL. But Sprogis ends up getting the first win of the season, followed by Dimas, Zelenkovic, Villacamper, Ewan Lenore P5, Ivan Santamaria coming all the way back from P15 to P6. Camille, who had some very, very unfortunate strategy, coming in P7. Bogdan in P8. Andres Lopez P9. Matthew P10. Jack Humphreys P11. Lillian P12. Maya in P13. Franek in P14. Jane P15. Valentino P16. Sven 17. Tomas in P18. Wilson in 19. And Richie in 20. But my word, I'll tell you what an absolute race. Jack Humphreys getting past this lap as well. But Richards, that was absolutely insane. Take a bow, and I feel like we
There's
need
no
a breather.
words.
We need a breather. We'll go.
there's
We'll
no
go to the
words.
sponsor. We're back in a second, guys. My oh my, what a race. I've had a little breather. I need a bigger one, because that was absolutely insane. Hopefully we're going to be able to get some of the drivers in for an interview very, very shortly here at F3. I'm sure we'd love to chuck a couple of these guys back up in and really, really try and gather how they felt about that race. I'll tell you what, we do have the race winner himself currently waiting, so let's drag Rehards in for a little bit of an interview. There we go, lovely stuff. Rehards, how are you doing? That was oh my word, mate. How can you comprehend what's just happened? That is insane.
I've got no word. I didn't expect to actually get a podium and not even a win. Like, this is just a dream. Like, these safety cars, like, oh dear. Also, the double stack we had with Lillian, I was a bit mad, you know. But oh, the race was so good. The strategy was epic. The teamwork with Dimas and Lillian was brilliant. Like, this is a race to remember. Oh.
I mean, absolutely fantastic. What a way to kick off the season as well. You came from an absolute tear last season here at PSGL. Being bumped up. Are you going to try and go on the same sort of tear, mate?
Oh dear. I got no words because I'm really sweaty and like still hyped, you know. My voice is cracking a lot, but yeah. F3, my goal is to actually win, you know. Like,
yeah.
Just like F4. And yeah, gotta stay not too happy and just be how do you say? Stay confident, like lock in, like practice enough, and yeah, just
absolutely.
be lucky.
I'll say one thing this race should not do is knock your confidence at all, because you had a stellar performance. I was a bit worried when I saw both of the Alpines on the same tyre strategy. I was a little bit wary about that, but you came in for a slightly earlier pit stop. Do you think that necessarily helps you? Do you feel like you would be able to really try and challenge before the safety cars came out? Or do you feel like the safety cars helped you out in that aspect because you pit a little bit earlier than Lillian?
Well, it kind of helped because behind me, Franjek, who pitted like 3 laps later, he could have got back, and I think he could overtake, but the safety car really helped me, I think. The bad thing was we had a double stack, but I lost only 1 position, so that's not a big deal. But yeah, I would still try to fight for the podium if there wasn't a safety car, but we'll never know what
Exactly.
could happen. But yeah, I mean, I won.
Exactly, mate. Joys of motorsport. Sometimes another person's misfortune is your fortune, and you've done an absolutely fantastic job. Got to open it up to Epic as well. Do you have any questions very hard after that fantastic race he's just done?
I mean, it's different. I mean, I'm tired after that race. You gave us so much action, but I mean, what was it like? You know, when you took the lead, when you know, after turn 2, when you got past Zelenkovic, and you just did you like celebrate a bit, or were you just focused on getting to the end?
I was like shaking a lot, like last 5 laps. So the last lap was the most intense. Like my steering wheel was shaking. Like my heart was like 150 beats per second. So it's crazy. It's crazy because come from F4, I wasn't really expecting a good result. I was expecting like some points, but first round and it's a win. Like, yeah, as I said, a race to remember. Like starting from P7 and winning, That's really hard to do, I think.
Yeah, especially when it's a field as tight as this. Just to quickly summarise, I tend to do this thing for interviews where I'll ask you one favourite memorable moment in a positive light to kind of summarise the end of your interview. And I feel like I can guess what your moment's going to be, but do you want to say it?
Yeah, I mean, I can say the worst, because on lap 1, like, on 2 sectors, I had no force feedback, so I had to remove the steering wheel and reconnect it, so that was not ideal, so I lost like 8/10 maybe, so I had to come back, but the best was, of course, the overtake I did in turn 1. It was like from turn 1 to turn 3 or something like that, so... Oh dear, yes. Vamos.
Yeah. Oh, it was insane, man. Insane. But yeah, congratulations on your win, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you again slightly further in the future for potentially another race win.
Yeah, I hope so.
Hope so. Right, it's been absolutely lovely, Rihas. Congratulations, mate. What a way to kick off the season, and thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you. Lovely bloke. And honestly, I'd be just as out of breath as he was. I don't know how he kept his beats to 150. I would have been hit him 170, 180.
Yeah.
Absolute insane. But we also do have Alexander Dimas here, who we're going to pull in for an interview as well. Alexander, it was all looking so good after that first safety car. You pulled out the gap and, oh my word, I feel absolutely dreadful for you, man. I really thought you were going to run away with it, but the second safety car came out. Run us through the emotions when you saw that safety car come out.
I mean, I was pissed off, to be honest. I was 2 seconds ahead, just clear of everyone. I just needed to use, I think, my whole battery at the end, laps 26, if there was no safety car. But yeah, it didn't happen. I don't know what happened and what caused a safety car. I will discuss that also with my team, and I will see what I will do with that. But yeah, then the safety car happened. I was happy that safety car didn't happen when I passed the pits, and then the guys in the top 8 could pit to new softs or something. So I was happy that outside of the top 10 the safety car happened, so that I wouldn't be in a bad position. So that isn't worse, but overall Sprogis was also faster than me, and yeah, that.
Yeah, I would say, don't let this affect your confidence. It was out of your control at the end of the day. You've shown fantastic pace in the first split, the second split, and even the third split. And it's such a shame that you weren't able to really capitalise on that opportunity after that first safety car came out. You did so well, you burnt your battery, you got out of the DRS range, you were sailing away. I thought to myself, Dimas has got this one all written in the book. But I suppose we're going to have to look past that. That's in the end. You know you've got race winning pace. Does that give you confidence heading into next week for the next race?
I mean, I will see, because on every tech someone is different with the pace, of course. But I mean, I always need to be confident in the race, because yeah, you are not gonna win race if you're not confident. So I'm pretty confident going into the next race. So,
Yes. Qatar. How familiar are you with the circuit? Is it one of your favourites, or is it one of that kind of try and avoid when it comes to practice?
No, not avoid, and not really my favorite as well.
Okay,
But,
somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
But I'm not hating it or something. No.
No, track limits are harsh there, though. They're so harsh. But yeah, no, you showed fantastic pace throughout the entire race, mate. So very well done. Nothing to be disappointed in, and I'm sure you'll come back around Qatar and show us that race winning pace once again. Absolutely fantastic race. Very unfortunate the ending, but you showed a lot of potential. So very well done. Epic, you got anything you want to chip in with?
No, not really. I think you covered his whole race there. I mean, Arizona, that was just. I think that was unlucky. I think you put in probably, without the safety car, I would say that probably would have been one of the best drives I have seen in a while. I mean, just keep up that pace, keep practicing whether you are or not. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, you're definitely gonna win. I mean, let's be honest, you
Sure.
definitely will win.
If you manage to get through this PSGL season, that'll win. Yeah. Tragic. But I have full faith in you that you will, especially if you keep performing like that, mate. It was absolutely fantastic. Gave us a thrilling battle to watch. So thank you very much, mate. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully we get to see you next week in the interview booth as well.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple steps up on the podium.
Yeah, I hope so as well. To be honest, I didn't expect this result because I come from tier 4, so yeah, that's also nice for me. And hopefully see you next week as well.
Yes, lovely. Thank you very much, mate, and fingers crossed that guitar's going to be promising for you.
Yes, thanks. Until next week.
Alright, see you next week, mate. Bye.
Bye.
Lovely bloke. Honestly.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what,
definitely.
though, coincidence or not, that both of them have come up from F4 and been able to score themselves a debut podium here.
Yeah, they were in F5 together as well.
Yeah, I know. They're slowly building up together, but very, very interesting.
A hate-love relationship.
Yeah, definitely. But just a quick reminder for you guys still watching. We do have a calendar. So for next week, it'll be around Qatar. You can also come and join us on the Monday evening for the PS races that we do here at SimGrid. We've got PS F1 being streamed as well, which will be very, very tasty to watch. Of course, they're doing the same track as us, just slightly delayed. They'll have Japan, and then you can come join us again on a Thursday evening to watch us come around Qatar one more time here at PSGL. And boy, oh boy, I'm really looking forward to Qatar. I feel like it'll be definitely one of those that you don't want to miss, especially if qualifying is as close as it was this week. Epic. How can we even sum up this race, mate? It was just fantastic.
One of the best. Probably. I'm gonna say it outright. If next race isn't as good as this, I'll be disappointed. Nah, but I mean, this is the start of the season that I think viewers that we like.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think the drivers like it, but I think they would like just easily to come across the line and win, but they don't, sadly. Not all of them, only one of them does. But
good little bit of racing, and Suzuka never disappoints. But as far as that goes, I've been Josh, and that's been my lovely commentary partner for today, Epic Freestyle Race. Thank you very much for joining me in my con box. And,
that was an honour.
Yeah, it's been lovely. So yeah, I suppose we'll see you guys maybe on Monday. Come join for the PS stream. If not, we'll see you on Thursday for Rank Guitar. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Desperately trying to hang on. He's got the inside. All here is through on the left-hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.